Yeah, FABA, for advisors by advisors. Hosted by Evan J. Mayer, where the real ones talk business, no filters, no favors. How they structure, they practice, how they build their team. Independent route or employee machine. Talk platforms, payouts, culture and growth. What really works when you out there on the road? No canned lines, just advisors being straight. Real conversations from the people who relate. Double podcast for advisors by advisors.
This is For Advisors by Advisors. I'm your host, Evan J. Mayer, and today we have a very special guest, which will be eventually a potential co-host, Mr. Scott Brown.
Am I being auditioned? Is that what's happening?
I think so. We'll see how many views we get, and
goodness,
and we'll chop up the wallet share. Good
to
see you, my friend.
Good to see you as well.
We actually talked a lot about this podcast and kind of the thoughts. You know, we stopped recording it about a year and a half ago, and then I think I ran into you at a conference, and you were like, why don't we bring that back, and why don't I join in? I was like, that sounds like a great idea. Let's come up with some ideas. And then between going to different conferences, advisors were walking up to me saying, how come you don't do that anymore? I love that podcast. And, honestly, I never tried to get a bunch of subscribers because it wasn't a financial thing for me. And so I never promoted it really. I just kind of put it out there, and like whoever got to enjoy it. And I said, maybe there's a lot more people listening to this than we thought prior. So here we are.
Yeah, I was a fan. I mean, you had me on pretty early in the game, and then you moved on to more prominent, spectacular guests after me. But I think that this audience is lacking. I don't really know what to call the voice, but a less polished, certainly I fall in that category, a less, a more forthright voice to, who's somebody for two guys that are in the trenches every single day, who have done a lot of different things, a lot of them good, some of them not so good. In both our cases now helped, I think, mentor and raise some pretty good advisors that are now in both of our systems. We've seen mistakes that people have made. We've been advisors who've had complaints with home office. We've been advisors who have had issues with products. We've been advisors who made mistakes with clients that we would prefer not to repeat. So I think a less stodgy, as per the getup, approach to this is needed. And I think you were filling that void for the most part, and I've kind of intruded on your gospel.
No, it wasn't intruding. It was actually great. I think it was you that said, like, Michael Kitces brought out like the top 10 or 20 best podcasts for financial advisors, and like you listen to probably half of them, and you're like, no, this has nothing to do with our business the way it should be represented. So I couldn't agree with you more. Thanks for coming back on. And I have some ideas around doing some interview styles with you. So the next one up actually is Paul. So that would be funny to have you in, but we'll see.
Well, you're going to see contrasting styles there. He'll probably be in a 3-piece suit or something.
He is always in a suit. We were at our national sales, I will call it a national event. It was purely AI focus, a lot of AI focus, which was great because I did come back with some really cool ideas, which I rarely go to meetings and come back with cool ideas, but this one was. And Paul, I had 2 meetings with him, and both times he was wearing a suit. Actually, 3. We had dinner too, and he was wearing a suit there too. So yeah, he is definitely that. You guys do contrast. He's got to put that hat on with the suit. That'd be good.
I don't think you could pay him enough to put this hat on. And for people who don't know, Paul is my longtime business partner, and certainly the more handsome, thoughtful of the two of us.
Yeah, and just to plug, that podcast is going to be more about recruitment and building offices and some thoughts around that. He loves that part. You don't love that part as much, and so you love taking care of clients, and I think that's a huge thing. I did want to just touch base a little bit on Ray J stuff. That's cool, because why not talk about stuff that we got involved in? I was just in Elevate in Las Vegas. I don't think you could make it. Really cool event. I went to see the Wizard of Oz, the Sphere at the Wizard of Oz, which was like, absolutely amazing. The one thing I took away from this is ways to use AI, and we just got access to Copilot, the advanced Copilot, that actually connects with ChatGPT and Claude. And you can go in there and create amazing things, reports for clients. We just developed something where normally I send out the birthday emails every morning. I kind of wake up, see whose client's birthdays it is, and send them an email. this has created the emails and are automatically, systematically sending them out at 8 o'clock every morning for me now. So it literally took care of that. My question to you is, like, I am really just getting started with it, but I am mesmerized by it, and it's been a life-changing. I started using ChatGPT probably 2 years ago, not for client stuff, just for, regular useful needs. And then I got into Grok and kind of making videos a little bit, and now songs. Well, have you done anything yet with AI with the business? Have you gone down that path yet?
Yeah, so like you, I used it for everyday things like just curiosities more than anything else in the beginning. But for those that don't know, I do radio once a week. I write a column every month for a local paper. And while I refuse to allow AI to write my column, and obviously it can't do radio for me, what it's done is it has allowed me to expedite the research process. In other words, if I think I want to talk about home ownership, or I want to talk about stock ownership or historic market trends or anything that requires data, historically I'd have to set aside an entire day and start digging around, reading up, Google search this, look at that book, whatever. And now I can, because I'll remember, well, I read in Warren Buffett's book, or I read in Charlie Munger's book, or I read in Benjamin Graham's book, this thing. And instead of me having to go through my library of books, which, as you know, I'm an avid reader and I do actually have one of those, now I just go to, in my case, the advanced version of ChatGPT, and I say, find the quote by Jason Zweig, or find the whatever. So for me, it's been an expediter there. On the money management side, it's been huge because, again, everybody doesn't know me, obviously, but we manage money in-house. I have a CFA on staff. And what it's done for him is allowed him to code a lot more quickly. So he's a coder by trade. So in addition to being a CFA, he's also a coder, which is
a really, really smart guy.
Really smart guy, way smarter than me, which is why I hired him. And he uses AI to do most of the front end coding in order to put together algorithms to weed through stocks and such.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. We're using it and we're connecting it with FactSet, with real time data upgrades and downgrades, and kind of getting that data instantaneously. Also, like what stocks are moving the most and why they're moving the most, and you can actually add that into the algorithm. So it's really, I think it's going to change our business. I heard on a podcast somebody say it's going to take over for financial advisors. I think everybody believes that their position is an emotional connection position that won't be challenged. I believe that for us. I do believe, especially clients, I don't know about your clients, but my clients are in their, average age is probably 65. So I have clients in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. I also have clients in their 20s, 30s. And they do want, even though ChatGPT might be able to give them the advice that they're looking for, they want to run that by somebody. They do want that emotional connection. I've seen that, from even clients that go, I use some of this AI stuff, but I still want to hear from you, Evan. Like at the end of the day, I trust you and I know you're going to lead me right. Are you experiencing the same thing with your clients?
I'm actually excited about AI. I'm not even a little bit, maybe I'm naive, and that may prove to be true in a decade or so, but I don't think so. I'm excited about what we're able to use it to do to enhance the client experience. In fact, I created, along with a PhD I know on behavioral economics, I created an anagram, I think they call them anagrams, that actually does like a little personality test. And we've been able to take the data from all of those personality tests, which is geared towards financial planning. It kind of tells a person, you might react poorly in this situation. You might underreact in this situation. We were able to compile all this data from all these people that have taken this personality test and put it into Claude, because my junior likes to use Claude. And it was able to give us all kinds of data, anonymous data on the book as a composite. And what it told us was you tend to do well with these people who have this personality type. The trouble you're having with those people is based on these results, I suppose. These answers lead one to believe this. And it's been really eye-opening for me to see the type of people that gravitate towards my message and my team's message. I 100% think AI for the thoughtful, creative, forward-thinking advisor is going to be awesome. Now, if you suck, if you're selling product and calling it a day, you're toast. You're completely toast.
You are toast. I think that part of the business is done. It's funny. You have a lot of members on your team. Some are those older advisors that, are doing that. Some are the younger, generation. I always say the younger generation because the younger generation always thinks outside the box a little more. And it's funny as you get older, you kind of need them around to go, oh yeah, that I should be thinking that way. Which is a good thing. I had a question regarding Elevate for you. So I went to Elevate, and for those that don't know, RJ on the independent side, Raymond James on the independent side does this conference called Elevate, and it's phenomenal. It's you go if you want to go, kind of an event. A lot of learning. They had Jay Leno, who was interesting. He was funny. Looked like he took a little Ozempic though. He had a little Ozempic face going on stage, but it was a great event. And I took away this AI stuff, and some of the conference parts are phenomenal. Like what I really love about them is just engaging with other advisors, right? Like hopefully, I asked if you were there. I knew you weren't going to be there. I knew I was talking to Paul. I knew probably 50 to 100 different advisors that I wanted to make contact with that I knew were going to be there. It's such a great part of that. There are aspects that stink, there was, and I don't want to say stink, but they do this gala at the end, and it's some cover band or something, and a few years ago they had this thing in Nashville. It was like a singer songwriter thing where they all sat on a stool. I don't know if you were there for that one, but it was really awesome because it was like the Red Solo Cup singer was doing his thing. So
Sure.
So I left that going that was the greatest conference. Like when can they ever beat that? For you, if you were developing a conference, and I have not been to Future Proof, I don't know if you've had the opportunity to go, but I hear that's kind of outstanding. If you were creating a conference for advisors, what would it look like? What would you be adding to it? What would you be taking away from those kind of events?
So I'm going to semi-answer your question, I think. So I did not go to Elevate, and less do I go to Elevate. And it's not because it's not a phenomenal event and very well put together. And like you, I gravitate towards the advisor presentations where I know, oh man, I know this gal. She's badass at this thing. I'm going to go sit front and row. I might be even doing more production than many of them. But that doesn't mean, in fact, that has no effect on me. I want to go learn what they know about. So I like that part. But what I've done personally is I've kind of shy. Not that I wouldn't go to Elevate. I still go from time to time. And I certainly think for young advisors, it's a no-brainer because there's just so much to absorb. Now, I've been in the business 40 years. So I've been to a lot of Elevates. And so for me, the gala and all that kind of stuff has lost its luster. I think if you're a young person and you're progressing through your various clubs and things like that, absolutely, you should go and enjoy the benefits of your success. For me, I have spent the last 10 years or so accumulating very successful advisor friends. And what we do is we do side events. So I'm in a group called the ALPG. That group meets once a year at various spots throughout the world. And we spend 3 days together. There are 16 of us, many of which are way, way, way more successful than I'll ever be. And we play a little bit of golf. We have a couple of drinks. But when we have dinner, it's almost one-on-one. There's 3 or 4 of us in a little group, and that changes from night to night. So for me, if you're going to go to an Elevate, a big conference like that, no matter who your broker dealer is, find people who are like-minded. Find people who are, I would argue, find people who are 20% better than you. And then the next year, find somebody else who's 20% better than you and start to form your own little cliques where, listen, we can all go to the wholesaler steak dinner. There's plenty of time for that, although I haven't been to one in 20 years, right?
Sure.
There's plenty of time for you to go eat the guy's steak and have him bug the crap out of you for the next 8 months. What you should be doing is reaching out to an advisor across town who you admire, who's kicking your ass, and saying, hey, Evan, would you mind going to dinner with me? Can we get a couple, 3 other guys together or gals and go to dinner and just talk shop? I think that is so much more valuable than sitting through an arena with 300, 500, 3,000 advisors and hearing generic commentary about how you can be successful in things like that. Again, those things have their place. I'm not poo-pooing. I was all into it as a young man, self-improvement, but I'm telling you, that's the point. The point I'm describing is where you want to get to.
I'm under full agreement with you. I look for those one-on-one meetings when I'm at these places. But I mean, full disclosure, you get a free trip to Vegas or a free trip somewhere. I normally latch it on with my wife. We extend a few days and we make a good trip out of it, and we show face to make sure we get invited back. For sure.
Right.
And then occasionally you pull some great stuff out. So I think there's obviously positives to both. I think there's ways to make these conferences even better, and highlight that. It's funny, we're on the advisory council, and that's the one thing we're not necessarily talking about is like how can we make Elevate like significantly better? But I think there's a couple of people that like running that show and they have it the way they like it, and it is what it is. So I did want to talk about family in the business. So your son works for you. It's actually I met him before I met you. He got matched up with us in a golf event and could really drive the ball, and we were pretty outstanding to have him as a partner, and drove with him that day, and it was great. My daughter is entering the business. Now, there are a lot of when I say entering the business, let me be very clear. She's 15 years old. This is all she's ever talked about. This is what she wants to do. So on. Now that could change in 3 years, and we'll find out. But I see when I talk to other advisors, some want their kids working with them right away because at the end of the day, they're going to learn the best process for what they think is the best process. And so why send them somewhere else for a year or two? Some advisors are like, no, I don't want them here. I want them learning from somebody else. I want them engaged in that time. I've always been a little reluctant to hire those kind of people because I know eventually they're going to leave. So like, why sit here and spend 2 years or 3 years teaching somebody else's kid how to do the business, and then for them to go and take all the great ideas, which is fine. I don't care if they take the ideas, but then not, leverage them. What did you do with your son? Did you bring him in right away? Did you, did part of, if you didn't, did part of you want to send him out? I don't agree with the whole send out thing. I don't understand it. I could understand if you can't afford him, like your business is too small, but for you, your business is big enough. My business is going to be big enough by the time she joins. What are your thoughts there?
I don't necessarily think I'm disagreeing with you, but I did go the other route first. So my son wanted nothing to do with the business. He probably told you this story, but he was a musician. He made fun of his old man for many, many years. I think at some point he had 23 or 24, he looked around and said, this rock and roll business ain't working so great, and the old man's not that bright, and he seems to do pretty good. So let me check into this. So with that understood, he got a regular job. He went and got a job somewhere working for audiovisual people who do conferences much like Elevate. He did that for about a year because I wanted him. And I didn't tell him what to do. I just said, go get a job. And so he did. And I wanted him to see, because our business can be somewhat bubbly, meaning if you're not in our business, we have it pretty good. I poured concrete for 2 summers. I tarred roofs. I bagged groceries. I unloaded trucks. I wanted to make sure he felt what that is, and those are amazing professions. I could have kept doing it, although I think my body would have gave out at some point. But I wanted him to have that same experience. After that year, I have a buddy across town who's with LPL. I said, look, man, I want him to go see what you do. I want him to see different before he comes here. And I'm not disparaging my buddy by any stretch, but he does business entirely differently than I do. And after about 6 months, my son's like, all right, I don't want to do it this way, Dad. I kind of know how you do it. I'm like, fine, come on back. Now, I funded that. I actually paid my buddy to pay my son, right? Conversely, I had another buddy across town who sent his son to me for 6 months to do the same thing. And I knew the entire time he was going to leave. The guy was a pal. The kid was great. I would have kept him forever if I could have. But I have no qualms with doing that because, first of all, the things that you and I do that people are worried, well, they'll take my secrets or they'll listen. First of all, there ain't no secrets.
Yep.
What they learn is you got to bust your ass and you got to work hard and you got to take care of people and you got to give a shit. I can cuss on this one, right?
Yep.
I mean, you really got to give a shit and you got to put your heart and soul into it. You can steal that all you want, but if you don't do it, it doesn't do you any good. There's no secret sauce in the sauce.
So you like sending, you believe that's a better model for them to see what they have versus what they don't have.
I think it depends on the kid or the young person. Paul, who you're going to have on, will tell you an entirely different story. His daughters both came right on board, and they're fabulous. So I don't think it's a one size fits all.
What is also interesting is I have some young guys here, and I constantly tell them, like, you don't know what it's like out there versus here, and they can't see the difference, and that kind of scares me too, because down the road I'm like, if they think the grass is greener on the other side, they haven't been to that other side, and we have, right? So it's a hard part of hiring younger people is deciding, do I keep them here? Do I, how do I keep them engaged with what we have, currently going on?
I have a young advisor, and he's been with me forever. And I'll tell a story on him. Is one time I was getting on him about the hours he was keeping. I didn't think he was keeping enough of them. And we were standing in my top floor of my building, which has all glass floor to ceiling, and it's Florida. It's August. It's like 98 degrees with a zillion% humidity. And he says to me, well, you just don't realize how hard I work. So I looked out the window and I pointed at four guys on a roof.
Yep.
And I said, no, you have no idea what hard work is. That is hard work. So yes, there is a little bit of hard work, a little lack of understanding sometimes.
This is an interesting question that I have for you, and I think people probably have different means. Now, you've been in the Raymond James ecosystem for how many years?
26 years.
So what I notice about advisors today that are going independent, and I was very similar to these advisors, is they wanted to brand under a different name. They want to use Raymond James is a big name, obviously, for recruitment purposes or bringing clients on. It's got a stable name behind it. But at the end of the day, they like to create their own website name. Their email addresses are different. Like my email address is Evan@Fortuna Wealth. I branded. But what I've noticed is there's a lot of advisors that are on the independent channel here that have been here for years, that use the Raymond James email address, and they primarily promote Raymond James as the brand they are. Why do you think that is? Is it just a comfortability level of, hey, I've been independent for all these years and I know I'm independent, so why have to show a different brand? Or is there another rational reason why that is?
I think if somebody were to debate me on this, and many have, they'd be hard pressed to prove to me why they're doing that. And again, to your point, Raymond James is, in my mind, by far and away the best broker dealer on the street for a variety of reasons. They're not perfect,
Agreed.
Certainly, but there certainly is value in teaming with Raymond James. Having said that, I think a lot of them are insecure. I think they're insecure about what their brand, whatever they call themselves, would be. I don't think they're thinking about the future where they may or may not want to go somewhere else. I think they also just overvalue brand in this day and age. Like 20 years ago, I could almost, if you wanted to be Merrill Lynch or Morgan Stanley, I kind of get it. Today, that's ridiculous. It's preposterous to think that brand means anything to anybody.
So when you promote yourself, do you go around, like if somebody says, hey, what do you do for a living? Who do you work for? What's your answer to that?
I say I have a little boutique investment firm over in College Park in Orlando, and we cater to wealthy individuals and helping them, do what they do, get where they're going.
What firm are you with, Scott?
I'm with Edgewater Family Wealth.
Okay. So you promote yourself individually. When
100% of the time, we do summer shirts for our clients. I mean, we got people all over Central Florida going to the beach in Edgewater Family Wealth.
So I do this too. So that I guess my question was what and again, I'm not saying you, but I see other people that just like they'll call themselves that name, but the advertisement is Raymond James, and I'm wondering why. Now you're right. There was some insecurity on my behalf because I came from a bank and I wanted people to know that we're different, that we are fully independent. We make our advice independently for our clients, while our broker dealer is Raymond James for, tools and technologies and safekeeping and SIPC and, custody services. We want that partnership and we want a strong partnership. We've always liked to talk, say our names separately. And I was just wondering why there are so many people on the Raymond James ecosystem that just like to use that name only. And I don't know what the answer is to it.
I mean, I don't think it's necessarily detrimental in a day-to-day conversation, or a client, get a referral and they walk through the door calling yourself Raymond James. I don't think it's a negative.
No.
But I also don't think you build community. So, in my little community in Orlando, where my primary practice is located, I sponsor Jazz Fest. I sponsor a variety of community events at a variety of charities. Now, if I called myself Raymond James, that could apply. Somebody could walk up to the Raymond James guy 3 blocks down and go, "I see you sponsor Jazz Fest," and he'd probably go, "Huh, I don't remember doing that, but cool." But if it's Edgewater Family Wealth, everybody damn well knows who that is in the
Exactly.
community.
Yeah.
So that's my reason for doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I branded as the mayor group with Raymond James when I joined because I was the mayor group with SunTrust. So I kind of wanted that. And then about 2 years later, 3 years later, I said, if I'm going to build a team of advisors, some people don't necessarily want to operate under my last name, right? They want a company name or a family name or something that felt holistic for everybody. So we switched it to Fortuna Wealth, and it's been great. Let's talk about your son, your thoughts of the business. Now, some advisors are never going to retire. They'll retire at their desk. It's becoming easier and easier with AI, with the tools and technologies, with Zoom, with every, thing to just keep doing the business and not work as hard as you once did when your business is where it's at and doing what it's doing. Do you have an exit plan? You're older than me.
Thanks for bringing it up.
Not to spill the beans, but I don't have this exit plan yet because I'm kind of waiting for my daughter and making sure she wants to do it. And if not, down the road, maybe I sell. I plan on being in business for 20 plus years.
Sure.
But is there an exit plan for you? Is there any? Have you put a time and a date stamp to it? Are you going to stick to it?
Well, there's not a drop dead date, although if I drop dead, that'll help things in terms of drop dead dates.
Yes.
No, as it stands right now, I do have an exit plan. We're already executing on it. My son actually has way more accounts than I do. I don't take new clients at all. If there's a billionaire out there that wants to call me, maybe I'll consider it. But for the most part, I don't take new clients. And my son is a very skilled practitioner, so I'm not worried about that. I am still doing a lot of behind the scenes stuff. I'm helping with marketing. Creative marketing is kind of my thing, and I enjoy it.
Sure.
So I will do that for the foreseeable future. And I have 65 clients that I'll probably hang on to for the next half a decade or more. But the day-to-day, the HR, I still do a lot of that, but over the next 1.5 to 3.5 years, I'll be 65 in 3.5 years. And at that point, I probably will have nothing to do with the day-to-day of the business. I've been doing this 40 years.
Yep.
It'll be 45 at that point. Not that's you got to stop just because of some arbitrary number, but for me, I work with the people I love. I tell people, say, well, how do you pick the clients you're going to work with? Is it assets? I say, no, it's people. If I would have lunch with them and they had no money with me, that's the people I picked. Right. And some of these people have been with me 38 years. So I owe it to them. Those are the people that got me here. So I will do that for a few more years, but I also, I have other things I want to do. There are charitable organizations I want to participate in. I'm still working on convincing my wife to drive across the country in a Sprinter van. So working on that. But yeah, there's another part. Yeah, right. Now this I love. I love educating advisors. I love educating anybody on anything. This just happens to be what I know.
Yep.
So this part, if you call me up in 10 years and I'm still kicking, I will happily field that call.
Yeah. Just wrapping up, because here's the bottom line. I plan on having you on a few of these going forward. I think I'm going to do Paul without you, just to not intimidate each other. And then probably the next one, I think I'm going to add you on if you're down. Obviously, I want you down because I think there's questions that you will ask that will be significantly better than what I ask and what I'm interested in.
Different, not better, different.
Yeah, different for sure. So 2 things I just want to bring up. One thing advisors do today that you hear about that just drives the living crap out of you. What is that, and what do they need to stop doing? And what is one thing that every advisor that is not doing that you do, or not every advisor, but most are not doing that you're like, damn it, you need to do this?
Yeah, so I think those are pretty easy. So the first thing that advisors do now that drives me nuts, and I see it still in my, a lot of people know we have dozens of advisors in our program, is they're still selling product. And what I mean by that is not that it's evil to sell an annuity. It's not evil to sell a mutual fund. That's not what I mean. What I mean is They went to lunch with Joe from XYZ company, and then next week all the trades they do are with Joe at XYZ company. And I don't know if you're aware of this, Evan, but the best way to pick product is not based on what lunch you had the week before, right? It's
Yep.
by being thorough. We're never going to get it perfect. We're not, any of us, great stock pickers, despite what people watching this may think of themselves. This is a long-term game and it's a service industry. But the reason I manage my own money is because it's more cost effective to the client and more tax effective. So it's just a better service. But to think you understand something or you know what's about to happen with NVIDIA, or worse yet, a mutual fund with hundreds of stocks in it based on a lunch you had last week or a dinner you went to is ludicrous. And that drives me insane. If an advisor walks into my office, have you ever thought about putting a first trust in your XYZ portfolio? And I'm like, is that because I see the guy driving away in his Ferrari right now?
Yep.
So that drives me nuts. The hands down, the thing that I can't get advisors to do is spend money on themselves. And what I mean by that is so many advisors have a scarcity mentality. It's completely ironic to me that we're in a profession where a person will sit down with an entrepreneur and ask them for their hard-earned money, knowing that person worked 18 hours a day most of their life, might have been a plumber up to their elbows, and you know what. And then they come in at 9, read the journal till 10, go get a cup of coffee, answer 2 phone calls, go to lunch for 2 hours, and go home at 5. They don't want to do dinner. Like, you don't have to do a dinner for 100 people. If you don't want to do rubber chicken dinners, don't do rubber chicken, but take your clients out, spend time with them, understand them. Even if it costs you $300, you probably got a client paying you 10 grand a year. So it drives me insane. I think the average advisor spends less than $12,000 a year on service-oriented, client-centered marketing. And that to me is nuts.
It is. I mean, we run a client appreciation dinner every year, and for the local clients, and that's around 15 grand just for that one night, right? So I agree with you, and I the pet peeve of wholesaler lunches is the funniest thing, right? Because I never go, never go, because number one, I don't do any products. I do all individual securities. So
right.
no wholesaler wants me to come to their lunch. But, but occasionally I'll go to the first trust like one, that because I love Jim Bowden and I love Brian Westbury.
Sure.
So I'll come to them, and it's funny. It's the same people that are always there. And you're right. There's even guys that have like product sheets with them, and they're like, they're circling like what the next product is. And they really believe that their job as a financial planner is to pick the best mutual fund product that is out there that day. It's funny. I make fun of it all the time. I joke around with it, but I also understand like some people are just so institutionalized in how they ran their business that developing it from 1987 through today is just an impossibility. And it's funny because the advisors that were advisors in 1987 are normally not those guys. They're normally the planners, the ones with the relationships, the ones growing practice. Like Philip Moses, I don't know how old Philip is, but he's still
100. I think Phil's 100.
Phil's 100, and he's still loving business and life, and he does remember me, which is kind of cool because occasionally I go up to him. I'm like, is he going to remember me this time? Love you, Phil, if you're listening. I doubt you're listening, but if you ever did. I did want to just bring up one highlight of a good podcast, because you did send me a podcast with Evan Spiegel from Snapchat, which was interesting, and we were talking a little bit about kind versus nice, smart versus thoughtful.
Yeah.
I listened to that. I thought that was brilliant. I actually listened to the Dana White interview from the same podcast. If I can get the name.
It's David Senra's.
David Senra's. Yeah, it's an hour long talking to CEOs about what they do. And I think it's for any independent advisor or any advisor in general, I think it would be great for them to listen to. So just shout out for that podcast. That was great. You feed me a lot of cool data. Sometimes you do it on LinkedIn when you're not trying to. And I'm one of those annoying, weird LinkedIn people that loves to kind of see what other advisors are doing and sharing. Same. So there's a community of us. I know that. But anyway, I really look forward to expanding this podcast with you and doing a lot of fun stuff. And we're calling this a standard Deviant episode, but I don't even think this one's as bad. I think we're going to have some more fun ones going forward. So
I don't think there's no doubt that it'll get Deviant at some point.
It will get Deviant.
Yes.
Do you want to be on with Paul, by the way, or no?
That's up. You have to ask him. He always gets nervous when I show up.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah,
He is politically correct. I found that out. We were in a meeting and we both had a controversial topic that we said, yeah, this makes sense. And I started going, and I'm looking over. I'm going, Paul, when are you jumping in? He goes, I was reading the room. I wasn't getting the feeling. I go, no, that's when you needed to come in.
Well, he'll tell you right now that in the good cop bad cop relationship, I'm the bad cop always. I'm always, if we're pissed off about something with corporate or whoever, guess who does the dirty work? And he comes off as the good guy. So just so we're clear to the audience out there, I'm not really the bad cop. I just play that role.
I think Ray J looks at you in that role sometimes.
Oh, there's no doubt. My picture's on the wall somewhere, and not in a good way.
Scott, you're the man. Love you. Hope to see you soon. And I'll check in with Paul and get back to you and see if you're free and if he's open to it. If not, I'll just do a little one-on-one with him.
All right, 7-4.
All right, brother. Have a good day.
Later.
Thanks, man. Yeah, FABA for advisors by advisors. Hosted by Evan J. Mayer, where the real ones talk business, no filters, no favors. How they structure, they practice, how they build their team. Independent route or employee machine. Talk platforms, payouts, culture and growth. What really works when you out there on the road? No canned lines, just advisors being straight. Real conversations from the people who relate. Double podcast for advisors by advisors.